What'd you say? I didn't stutter. I said, pop your tick-tick out his mouth and stop babying him.
Well, that's one of the thoughts I had about this Giant game against the Dallas Cowboys last night. It's time to stop babying Daniel Jones. People, we're going to talk about how people are saying, what a great game by Daniel Jones. We're actually going to break it down. And we're going to talk about how the fact is he is going to get Malik Neighbors killed. And we're going to talk about the fact that how this team may be good enough to win, but they're a hell of a lot better at losing. This was a tough one. This was a tough one to swallow. This was one of those games that you saw the Cowboys were right for an upset. The Cowboys aren't right. Their defense isn't right. Their offense isn't right with their running game. But somehow, the New York, when other teams have rushed for like 189 yards on the Cowboys, the Giants can't even muster up a running game with the great Devin Singletary. With motor, I'm so glad we got the motor running. Yeah, I'm glad we don't have that fucking Saquon Barkley bum, because that would have just been terrible. We need to talk about how Mr. Banks is having his issues. We need to talk about how we just can't score.
That's what she said.
We just can't get the ball in the end zone.
That's what she said.
That's never going to get old.
That's what she said.
We just can't. That's it. I mean, it's this thing that you cannot live your life between the 20s. You have to score. And the Giants wasted a perfect chance to really take a win at home, beat the Cowboys for the first time in an eon, but we just can't do it. We ran the ball 24 times and we gained 26 yards. I'm not a genius. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a Mesopotamian, but I think that's an average of 1.08 yards of carry. Hey, Ellie Moore Fudd, maybe you shouldn't dress up as a cowboy coming into the game to show how cool you are, show what we're going to do to them, and then go out there and not be able to even run the ball. I've said this before when we built this offensive line. It's going to be a lot better in pass protection than it was the previous years, but the running game is going to be suspect at best. People talk about Motor Singletary with that 60 yards he had the other day against the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, 46 of them came on one carry. And then he has a propensity to fumble. You couldn't run against a Cowboys defense that, like I said, gives up yards in frickin' bunches. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it at all. You couldn't do it at all. This is a team, the Cowboys, their defense. 9 out of the last 10 trips in the ends, and in the red zone, have ended up for touchdowns for the opponents. All we do is kick field goals. We're going to go into a 4-week stretch where we're in Seattle, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh. I've said this before, 1-7. When I predicted the start of the season, I said, we are going to go 1-7. We are a team that just doesn't know how to win. And that starts with the coaching staff, 100%. That falls completely on the coaching staff itself. We don't know how to win. We'll talk about and pontificate about the 7-2 start 2 years ago, but we don't want to talk about how the fact that we've won like 8 games since then. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about how we had the ball for 35 minutes, but only 5 for 16 on third down. And 0 for 2 in the red zone. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about the fact that Daniel Jones threw 40 times, completed 20 for only 280 yards, and he targeted Malik Neighbors 15 times again. That's 45 times he's targeted Malik Neighbors in 3 games. In 3 games. That's 45 times. You know, if you take 15 and times it by 17, you get 200. He'll be targeting him over 255 times in 17 games if that kept up. Do we understand that? And all the passes are short passes outside of a couple here and there. We're gonna get into the yards per play on the pass in a minute. There's too much to talk about. And the fact that Neighbors left with a concussion on what was going to be a tough catch, that Daniel Jones put him in a vicarious situation on that 4th and 6 to stretch out on the end zone and land face first to try to make that throw. Just because Neighbors can make the spectacular catch doesn't mean you extend and throw your star wide receiver after 4 games into a position where he's going to get hurt. I've said this before. Daniel Jones is going to throw the ball high to Neighbors. Neighbors is going to go up for it. A safety is going to come out from over the top and lay him out. And after seeing that play on the sideline, what happens? Neighbor left with a concussion. Hey, Ellie Moore Fudd, let me talk to you a second. Illegal man, downfield penalty. That was not the time for it. And you had the other tight end who had that costly holding penalty on the first play in the 4th quarter, which basically took out a first down. And then Banks. CeeDee Lamb, I think, was only 7 for 89, but 55 came on that big touchdown pass. It's not that Banks isn't playing well enough. It's just he is going to get picked on a little bit. And the teams aren't overly afraid of him right now. And that could change. Dak was his efficient, 22 for 27 for 221 and 2 touchdowns. The Cowgirls have no running game. Rico was 11 for 46 and Zeke was 5 for 19. They have no running game. They really didn't seem to put up any offense today, but somehow scored more points than the Giants. Kayvon got a sack, his only sack, 8-yard loss in the first half, and then nothing for the rest of the game. Brian Burns was a non-factor again. He did tackle Lamb for a loss in the 3rd quarter, but that was about it. Cordell Flott, man. Can we stop the Flott experiment? He has his moments, but then he just gets beat like a drum. It was good that they held Dallas to 3 of 10 on 3rd downs, which was good work. And they did allow just 20 points. But you know what? You still with this offense, you got what you call it. You got to come up with something. You got to come up with a shutout. Tyrone Tracy muffed a punt and fumbled on the opening kickoff of the second half. What's his name? Manhurts or whatever bailed him out by getting by recovering the fumble. Oh, can we just stop with the Eric Gray experiment, please? Okay. Can we literally just be done with the Eric Gray experiment on the kickoffs? I mean, can we just please stop? I love it. I'm already seeing articles and tweets and stuff that Malik Neighbors needs help. Oh my God. Are we going to go with this fucking narrative now that Malik Neighbors needs help? We sat there and built a team around Daniel Jones because he needed help, and now your star wide receiver who took 6 overall needs help. Maybe the quarterback needs to stop targeting him. I thought we had the deepest wide receiver room that we've had in years when we've only added 1 player. The Giants are only good enough to lose. That's truly is. It's a lot. You're now 0-2 in the division. You watch Parsons go down and carted off the field with about 3 minutes and 30. About 3 minutes left in the 4th. So if he's down for an extended period of time, you got a team that could potentially be ripe for the pickings in Dallas because they're just not to the point where they need to be. And like I said, Daniel Jones, you could sit there and tell me, it was 29 for 40 for 281. He had the garbage interception on the pass. But he also should have had another interception, but we don't want to talk about that. The Giants controlled the tempo of this game, holding on the ball for 35 minutes. Dallas is 24. But if you can't get the ball into the end zone, it doesn't matter how good you are between the 20s. And I love how Dable says, in 3 games in a row now, I'm proud of him. Oh, you're proud of him for going 1-3. Dabes, I am starting to lose so much confidence in you in reference to a play caller. Because we're not going to talk about the underthrown long ball to Slayton on a free play when the Cowboys jumped off sides. And what happened? Diggs picked off the pass, undercutting the ball to Slayton. Of course, it was the interception was negated on the penalty, but it was an underthrown pass. Everyone's always, I love how all the teammates are rallying around and coming to Daniel Jones. You know what? I am sick of fucking Daniel Jones. I am sick of it. I am sick of him. I got a video on Saturday that I've been debating whether I want to release. It talks about how the Giants fan base will never come together unless Daniel Jones finally fucking leaves. Because he is beyond frustrating. He's not the answer. And to go 0-2 already in the division, and you still have the Eagles now coming up twice. Oh, I mean that right there is a quandary in itself. We all want to talk about Daniel Jones, his 29 for 40 for 281, but he only averaged 7 yards a play. That's it. The average pass play was 7 yards. Malik Neighbors, 12 catches for 115. Ask me what his average completion was outside of that 39-yard pass. 9.6 yards, which means you're not throwing the ball too far down the field. Wan'Dale Robinson, 11 catches for 71. He's a fucking running back. I've said it before. He's Darren Sproles. 6.5 yards. Slayton and Tyrone Tracy were the only ones that had any type of yak. We're getting 0 out of the tight end position. Jalen Hyatt was targeted 1 time. I still just love the Devin Singletary. 14 carries, 24 yards, 1.7. But don't worry, that Saquon Barkley guy, he fucking sucks. He's only leading the league in rushing and on pace to rush for 2,000 yards. I mean, you look at this team and you look at this team defensively. Yes, they have deficiencies in the secondary. And the issue is when they don't get to the quarterback, they had 1 sack and only 3 quarterback pressures. Things go poorly. Things go wrong. Things go wrong quickly because of the inexperience and the youth in the secondary. And we give up the big plays at the most inopportune times because that's just what we do. That's just this team. This team is a team that is, I'm not going to say poorly coached, but they are not coached in the finer nuances of actually winning. And if you look at it, you would think that the Giants, by time of possession, dominated this game. They only had 303 yards to 293 yards for the Cowboys. The most telling sign is the yards per play. Dallas was 5.7. Giants were 4.7. Yards per pass, Cowboys 7.6, Giants 6.8. You had a team that can't run the ball. You should have been able to stop this running game with 4 guys. And you have a team that's got some animosity with between CD and Dak. And you have a team that's defense has been horrid. And like I said, gave up 9 out of the last 10 times in the red zone, they've given up touchdowns. And all we do is kick field goals. And this whole Malik Neighbors thing is you keep putting this kid in positions where you are going to be throwing the ball in, like I said, in positions that you are going to create him. You're going to make him vulnerable. You're going to get him killed. Plain and simple. Everyone talks about all his catches. He's got 35 catches for 386 yards, but he's only averaging 11 yards a catch. His longest reception is only 39 yards. So that means we're not taking that shot deep. We're not chucking that ball deep to this kid. That's a problem. He was been targeted 52 times already. And he's only got a successful catch percentage of 51.9. He should be around like 65. Which tells me Daniel Jones is just throwing him the ball when he thinks that he's open. That's a problem, guys. He's on pace for 1,641 yards and 149 receptions, but only 11 yards per reception. That's a problem that you are not putting your playmaker in a position downfield to make plays. We talked about it in a short yesterday. You need to create opportunities for Malik. And creating those opportunities may be doing things different. Like I said before, you know what I'm doing? I'm putting Hyatt and Slayton on the outside. I'm dropping Malik in the slot, and I'm putting Wan'Dale in the backfield. Then at one point in time, I'm going to have Slayton and Hyatt on the outside. I'm going to put the tight end on the line, and I'm going to have Neighbors and Wandell in the backfield. I'm going to create opportunities and mismatches for this player, but I'm not going to continuously put him in a situation where he's going to get himself killed. That's what Daniel Jones does. Everyone talks about the fucking injuries of Saquon Barkley. We said this before. Go back to season 2. Saquon Barkley injured his ankle going after an ill-advised pass by Daniel Jones. 2 years ago when he hurt his ankle again, it was the same thing. Barkley was going after an ill-advised pass from the quarterback. Darren Waller looked at this shit and said, listen, this guy almost got me fucking decapitated in the preseason game. I don't want to play no more. I'm taking my ball and going home. It's garbage. And I'm tired of the garbage. I'm tired of having to truck my ass all the way out to that stadium. I took my son last night because I couldn't give away the tickets. Couldn't even sell them. Couldn't give it away. So we made a last-minute decision to go to the game, and I feel bad because I didn't get a chance to see a lot of people because we didn't get there till 8:45 because of fucking New Jersey Transit on the Northeast Corridor. But I mean, I'm tired. As a Giant fan, I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of sitting there waiting for year fucking 6 with Daniel Jones saying, he's going to be a player. I don't want to be a player no more. I don't want Daniel Jones because he sucks a lot. I mean, that's a soundbite. It's frustrating. It's the fact that, like I said, you're good enough to lose. And you're good enough to lose close. But as soon as we actually hit a team that does not have some deficiencies, we are going to get smoked. I see 1-7. Said this since the beginning of the season. I thought we would have won one of the first 2 games, and then we would have lost. Or we would have just continuously lost. When do the Knicks start? And I got a doubleheader with the Mets. We're trying to exercise the demons of Tommy Glavine. And then we get the rain out because of the freaking hurricane. Now we got a doubleheader on Monday.
This place is cursed.
The Mets are cursed. The Giants are cursed. Giants are cursed because of Geno Smith. And like I said, it's interesting they won on the weekend that Eli Manning got on the Hall of Fame ballot. Because Eli has to get into the Hall this year. Because that is the only way we're going to break the curse of Eli. I don't know. We may do a live stream tonight. It's Friday. I don't know. I got a short coming out as well. But we may do one. We have to wait and see. Because I'm really pissed. And again, this is Tim Stewart, Giant Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring that bell because you want to know why. Let me know soon.